open a business in here. Yes. Yeah, I just love that it's 2023 and you still can't have a full lobby of people in motorcycle clubs or CEOs. Like all the things that they fixed in this game, and they still didn't fix that. I don't know. So, double money this week on all the motorcycle club businesses. Which right now, the only one that seems like it's almost ready to pop is the weed, which is the worst of them all. But I mean, double money on the worst is still pretty darn good. Yeah, and this week too, since it's double money, I haven't really been selling in public lobbies. However, I am going to sell my Acid Lab in a public lobby because it is 1.5 times money this week. Normally I'd just be like, you know, in a double money week for MC Clubhouses businesses, I would be 100% committed to that and that only. But the Acid Lab being 1.5 times, sell that in the public lobby, and you're gonna make quite a few buckaroos. Not to mention that it's fairly easy to sell in the public lobby yourself.
I'll call my buddy in pharmaceuticals. Gonna cost you, but I can get what we need.
So yeah, this is the first real business post arcade to
Hey,
launch.
Quincy, it's
so
me.
they have a little bit different of a way to get you access to your Acid Lab. Oh my gosh.
Hello?
So I tried to put this into my new garage yesterday, and not yesterday, a couple of days ago, a few days ago, whenever I was last time. They wouldn't let it. They wouldn't let it go in. This can only be stored at the arena, which is fine. It's a lot of fun though. It's one of the newer things I did, believe it or not. I mean, that DLC is years old, but I was really hesitant to put $5 or $6 million into a car that I would never use for a dead DLC. I mean, the Arena Wars DLC I think was awesome, but it was DOA, dead on arrival. There was just no hope for that thing popping. You know, nobody was playing it, even in its heyday. You know. Like after the first week or two, people just stopped playing, and I think a lot of it had to do with the introductory costs. I mean, you could play for free using default vehicles, but 95% of the default vehicles that they would give you are trash compared to your own personal, fully upgraded vehicle. Then there were just more weapons, more armor. Faster, more durable, and just, you know, people were getting wrecked. The haves and have-nots were clearly delineated, and the have-nots were like, yeah, this isn't for me because I don't have the $5 or $6 million that it takes to invest. You know, even if you go cheap, you're still talking 3-4 mil because you have to buy the car, which isn't much, but like the upgrade itself to turn it into a death car or a death bike is like $2 million, and that's just the most basic stuff on there. Like you saw the scoop that I had on there on the front with the sign. That isn't even the best scoop. There's a better scoop, but I thought that was the coolest looking scoop. And considering that it's a dead DLC and I'm not playing with that vehicle in Arena Wars, just using it for fun, I wanted to display it in the best way possible rather than going for the best stuff like I did with the other two death cars that I'd made before that death truck. My point is that people got sick of it fairly quickly because they didn't have the huge investment that it would take to make their cars better. So people got sick of it, stopped playing, and good luck finding, you can go in there. I doubt you could find more than 2 or 3 people to play any mode, and that's like in the entire world. Just nobody wants to play it anymore. It's too bad. There's a lot of fun stuff there. It's basically Rocket League. Um, I've never played Rocket League, but I've seen it played, and it's the exact same thing. It's GTA is nothing if not a lover of duplicating games and making modes to put into this game. Fall Guys type stuff I've seen their version of battle royales and their version of like Mario Kart with the weapon cars and on the tracks and stuff, and just they just any type of popular game mode they tend to copy, copy as best they can within the parameters of their game engine, their ecosystem. It was a lot of fun. It was one of the more detailed upgrades. It's too bad I didn't get more time to play with it. They had when you were either eliminated, or if there was there were tag team matches where you would team up with somebody, and one person would be driving, the other person would be in the control room, and they could activate booby traps and turrets and try to help the teammate that's out on the road. But they could also take spins in there. There was a wheel that you could spin to get bonus RP, bonus money. I mean, the money wasn't huge. The wheel in the casino is a much better version of it, but it was the first wheel in this game before the casino was made. That was the only wheel that was getting spun, and it was just so much fun. It was so different, I don't remember what else was on the wheel. Maybe there were special weapons that you can activate in match. I just remember people just constantly filing around that wheel and constantly taking spins on the wheel, instead of like helping their teammate. Or maybe they were trying to help their teammate with the spins. I don't know. But so long story short, those cars became outdated fast, and there's no reason to buy them. So fast forward, I had 2 death cars. I always meant to make a death bike because I know that's the fastest, and in a lot of ways in the arena wars, it's like one of the best things to use because it's just so versatile. It can sneak into little corners and nooks and stuff that the bigger trucks and the death cars just couldn't. There was this one mode where you would have to it's capture the flag. You would have to capture the flag on the other team's side and drive it to your side to get points. And good luck if you had just a couple of death bikes on the other team and you didn't have any death bikes, because I mean the bikes would just slip through. Didn't matter what type of booby traps you set up, didn't matter how you tried to a big thing would be there's a bridge that you have to get up to get to the flag, and a big thing would be like take the trucks and make a barricade to keep cars from ramming through. They'll have to fight through in a quite difficult way to secure the flag. So you would have 2 people protecting, and you have 2 people running flags. And if the 2 people that were running flags on the other team were that you were facing were death bikes, I mean, good luck, because I mean they just like do circles around like those big mother truckers that I have out there and stuff, and it wasn't fun. It was cheap because they would just squeeze through. You couldn't quite barricade the entire bridge. I mean, you can pretty much knock off like 90% of it, the access, and that's more than enough for cars or trucks to try to get through. But these death bikes would just squeeze right through that little 5 to 10% that you would leave, that you couldn't, like I said, you just can't cover the entire ground. Those death bikes were just cheating little vehicles. It was a cheap way to win, especially when you had fully upgraded death bikes and not the default death bikes that they would give you. I feel like maybe if Alright, fine. This entire time, I was just dawdling with a purpose, talking about Arena Wars. Uh, just getting back to it one more time real quick, though. I built the 2 cars during the height of Arena Wars, and then years passed. Okay. So supplies just got here. So supplies should be here any second now, so I'm just going to go to the cab real quick. That was more than enough for me. I spent like so much money, and it was back in the day, like I said, before the casino, when money was a lot tighter for me, and it was a lot more difficult to buy these cars. So I would go broke each time I bought one of these cars, and have to build my way back up to that, 4 or 5 million that I had before I bought the car, And it was rough back then. Nowadays I keep money. It's not hard to make money with all the businesses, and I've learned and adjusted to the game. I've become a much better player than I was all those years ago when Arena Wars first came out. But I bought like 3 cars that I always meant to do. Turn into their death versions, the Arena War versions of them. And I just never got around to it. Just one day I was bored, and I had a ton of money. I'm like, let me do the truck. I've always wanted the truck. And as you can see, that's the result over there. That's the bad boy. Oh, what is it about thingies? Is this some yacht protection or something? Okay, so now I should be able to.
Whoa, don't mind me.
I already did it before. Oh well, whatever.
Whoa, excuse me.
So this should be a pretty good sale right here.
Okay, hear me out. You know what the new version of the personal touch is? The, impersonal touch. People want privacy, doodaroo, and we can give it to them. All you have to do is hide the packages at the drop points, and the customer picks it up on their own time. Everyone gets fucked up, everyone wins.
It's all arbitrary, I think. Like, which ones will trigger the cops and which ones you'll be okay with. We'll see. Oh, this is the best. I don't know how it works if one or two of these trigger, but so far we've been lucky with the RNG. 3 in a row. Nice. This is where it's going to be a pain in the ass. All the way across the map here. There's no easy way to do it either.
Listen, I gotta run, okay? Call me.
customer had a blast. Thankfully, they weren't too fucked up to send us the money. Good work.
Yay. Going into the lines down here. Gotta take the spins. Holy crap, it's working.
The casino store is open. Come dressed like you deserve success.
Oh, fresh wheel. Fresh wheel at the end of closing. And 2 away to the left will get the car. Wheel just what I needed.
How can I help you? Good luck. Just
I would have loved that wheel a little bit more if they put a little more variety on it. Just RP, chips, money. I think like the coolest thing isn't the free car, although I've won many cars off of that wheel in my time online, but the mystery prize, because there's some really rare stuff that you can get in there that you can only get through the mystery prize. Like one of the rarest cars in Slam Band. To own a Slam Band, you have to spin out the wheel. It's like a 1 in a million chance to get the spin, because it's a 1 in 20 chance of getting it on the wheel, the mystery prize itself, and then it's an additional like 1 in like 74 chance of getting the Slam Van. I did get something off the mystery prize once. It was I'll have to show you, I guess.
It's been a minute.
It's stupid. I fully upgraded it though. I was like, yeah, this is mine. You could just steal it off the street though. I like these ones. These are the ones where I don't have to drive people to the hospital. I can just go beat them up. I can't believe there's nothing to do here. No money to pick up. Full popularity. Oop. I just did a loop. A loop-de-loop. Gotta run. Gotta help the vibe of the nightclub. Can't have vibe ruined. Look at you. Vibe runner. You're drinking at this point. Sir. Have you considered your life choices? I'll help you consider them.
Here for a while, boss, or just passing through?
I mean, I might do something crazy, like sell the weed in this public lobby, considering that the lobby's pretty
Whatever.
quiet.
Is Dad there?
Oh, look at that.
Hello.
He's here.
How are you?
Oh,
You
speed
idiot!
glitch. Too speedy, too glitchy. I wonder if it's full now. I mean, it's supposed to move, not only is it double money, but the bars are supposed to move twice as fast, so I'm gonna assume it's full. It was, like, touching before the Acid Lab sale, so I should probably get something similar to Acid Lab sale, especially considering I'm selling in a public lobby. Okay, there we go. I like how the value gets to 420,000. It's like they know their people. Stoners are probably like the number one group that plays this game. Don't give me anything stupid.
Okay, we're attempting some discretion here and pretending we're the Postal Service. Got it?
Said, don't give me anything stupid. Darn it. That was a good lobby to sell into. That's the worst. I am not doing post-op hands by myself. I refuse to try. I've tried enough times to know. And you know the worst part is, as bad as the post-op fans are going from Sandy Shores to the city, it's about 50 times worse to go from the city to Sandy Shores, or even Paleto and some of those things. Oh my god. I doubt there's anybody in here. Oh, there's like 5Gs, look at that. I'm rich.
Only idiots pay attention to this stuff.
Starts moving. Thing still? Alright, fine. Looks like this will be my personal vehicle of the day, I guess.
Hello, chum. Now, it's your old friend indeed here.
It's pretty uneventful. Quarter mile. Alright, so the cars are in here. Sort of in order. I haven't done all 5 floors, so bear with me. We're gonna put this puzzle piece together right now. But this is, I believe the first floor is definitely done here. So, huh, interesting. So this actually, this car's name is Mirtha, and she's one of the 2 Iran war vehicles I was telling you about that I spent millions and millions on. This thing's a shield on the back. It's good to block the fire from somebody behind you, the lasers and such. They could also drop mines. I think kinetic mines I have on here. I don't like the other mines. I don't like slick mines. I don't like. I mean, EMP mines are okay, but really it's kinetic. It's where it's at. This shield also can be like thrown at people behind you. It's a one-time use, obviously, because you'll lose it afterwards, but it does extreme damage if you line it up right, and it's like just throwing a big piece of metal at another car and just whacking it with it. Yeah, everything on here was max, so like this was the biggest scoop, the best scoop, the laser guns, you know, supposedly there's armored here. This one, I did this one myself. I chose everything on this one. This one, I did I wanted to do something different, you know, with each one that I made. So I did a prefab with this one. They had some prefabricated versions of cars. So I bought that prefab version of this, and you know it has all the best stuff on it. This thing's a totally different thing than the scoop, although it does push people out of the way, not as effectively as a scoop. This insta kills anybody that stands in front of it, and also I guess it's kind of glitchy. We could just kind of run into it and just get popped high in the air if you survive. You know, it's a cool way to defy physics in the game. These spikes supposedly kill people. Obviously, it has all this extra armor. And then it's got this saw in the back that also kills people. Yeah, it definitely looks like a futuristic. It's called Future Shock. There's a reason why. Alright, so every other car in here are house vehicles. They're all house vehicles. I wanted to do an entire floor of house vehicles, but it just didn't look good because there were a couple of house vehicles that just lack in aesthetic and style, you know, like the Sentinel. I love the Sentinel. It's a $60,000 car though. I mean, even with all the house upgrades on it, it's still a $60,000 car. Granted, you put like $1 million plus into the house upgrades. But it still looks like a $60,000 car, the shell, if you will. So we got the Devastate, Karen S95. I think this is the one that they gave us for free when the expanded enhanced version came out last year. The Coil Cyclone. So I obviously had to put, you know, let people know it's the Coil. Don't want there to be any confusion. The Gran Turismo Classic. Again, all house cars. These are all, you know, they got the double speed, the double acceleration. The Vigero. You got the see-through engine there. The Sterling. You know, this car was probably one of the worst cars that came out when the vehicle warehouse upgrade came out. It just doesn't stay on the road well. And giving it more and more and more speed, making it one of the fastest cars in the game, does not really help its handling. But it is what it is. The Banshee, you know, they took an old school car and like this and the Devastate, they made them relevant again by making them house vehicles. Let's not forget about the Arbiter, I guess, too. Same thing. So obviously, I'm a big fan of Dukes of Hazzard. So I don't want to put the General Lee flag on the top, even though it's an American flag, not a General Lee flag. I just, you know, I guess 80s was kind of racist, and you don't realize that as a 5-year-old kid. You just like the cool car that jumps the rivers, and Roscoe getting, you know, into the water in his cop car like every episode. Them Duke boys. So I guess I started going with the General Lee, and then I just put a big honking engine sticking out of the hood. It's a muscle car. It is what it is. It's a happy little muscle car. So that's floor 1. Again, I was trying to go for a certain aesthetic and having just the whole floor be house cars, but there were just a couple of house cars that just did not make the grade. One of the house cars that aren't even in here. It's still back where I left it before. So level 2 right now here is just the best of the non-house, non-Amani Tech cars. These are just regular cars, but I feel like they're the best of the best. I'm starting off with the Reaper. I'm going to be honest with you. I have more fun driving this car than any other car in the game. I love this car. That's why it's always going to be in my tops. It's always going to be in the front and center. It needs to be seen. I love that car. Still drive it around all the time, even though I got so many better vehicles to drive. Just love the look of this T-Gun. The X80 Proto is a classic. It's still hanging in there. Still looking very pleasing with its curves. I like the way this car looks. What can I say? I am a sucker for cars with these weird like hoods and grills and just the lights. Just, I don't know. Love the way this car looks. Tesseract. This was the most expensive vehicle I had owned for a very long time before some of those Arena War vehicles came out. This was, you know, before House. One of the fastest vehicles in the game and the fastest electric vehicle. I don't think it is anymore. I think there's faster electrical vehicles now, including the new car that we just got for the last update. The Friedlander car. Ocelot Virtue, I believe it's called. Thrax. The very first day that the casino came out, the very first spin I took, I won the Thrax right off the bat. And besides the tires and like the armor and, you know, engine upgrades, I kept the shell the exact same because, I don't know, I thought they did a good job on the wheel of making it a very attractive car. So there you go. Day 1 casino car that I won. One of many over the years. Gran Turismo R. It's a good looking car. I don't drive it often though. Like ever. We got the Scramjet. I have a lot of fun with the Scramjet. Scramjet just defies all the laws of GTA in funky ways. I love it. Then we got the DeLorean. I kept it its original color, although obviously I added a little extra in the back here and changed the color slightly, but whatever. I never meant to. I wanted it to stay all the factory color because It looked most close. It looks closest to the DeLorean. I looked through all the colors. There's nothing that matches brushed steel quite like the original. I mean, even the brushed steel version of the color in this car in GTA doesn't look right. And we got the Batmobile. Vigilante. I drive it around a lot, but that car does get driven quite a bit. So the third floor was all trucks. Originally it was just going to be 10 trucks. There was also some House and Amani Tech vehicles. I think just Amani Tech vehicles actually that were included in trucks that were trucks, you know. And I was trying to decide whether I should keep those separate with the Amani Tech vehicles, but I do have a lot of, I don't know. I just decided to make an entire floor of trucks, so there's a mixture of Amani Tech vehicles in here along with just regular trucks. Like this is the Hot Ring that just came out a few weeks ago, so obviously it's going to have be front and center. This is also one of the newer trucks that came out, the Jogger. This is an Amani Tech vehicle, obviously, the mil spec, and it's fully upgraded to Amani Techs. This is a Jubilee, if I'm not mistaken. Yeah. This is... I have two of these remote control vehicles. This is not a missile jammer vehicle. This is... I can drive this remotely. Just take it outside, and then I drive it like it's an RC car. Pick people up and stuff and take them with me. It's a cool car. It's cool. It was a cool concept, you know. I had fun with it the first time. I'd show my friends. They didn't know about it. I was going on a thing to try to get all these vehicles at a certain point. These are the vehicles that you can get doing. So you can get you could buy them straight away, or you can get a discount doing missions in your CEO at your computer. There's 3 different things you can do. You can source and sell. I think just source actually, because you have to sell at the warehouse. Source vehicles to steal to bring to your vehicle warehouse. You can source cargo for your cargo warehouses, or you could do these specialty missions that came out around the same time. And doing each one of them and succeeding in them gets you a bonus of like a pretty significant discount on these vehicles. I mean, they still cost a pretty penny when it's all said and done. This costs like 2 mil plus. It also had additional weapons added to it during the bunker upgrade. So I guess this was originally just a lesser, the half-track was a lesser vehicle, and then the bunker upgrade came out, and certain vehicles got weapons upgrades if you did the resource the instead of making money in your bunker, you can do resourcing weapons and stuff. So you can get Mark II weapons, or you can get weapons on your certain vehicles. And the half-track here has that quad gun. That's one of the things that you got from the bunker. I have all the Mark II weaponry. The Granger, yet another Amani Tech vehicle. Very boring, if you ask me. I don't drive it often, like ever. Now this car, fairly cheap and almost as fast as low-end supercars like the Tempesta. And boy, did I have fun driving this thing. It cost me like 300,000, like with the upgrades, like 500,000. It's pretty cheap entry-level truck that I would recommend everybody get, if only for the fact that you're always going to need a truck for something. Um, we like to use our trucks when we're in cell missions. Say, for instance, with the post-op vans, you could shunt them from behind and push them faster. Give them boosts so that you can get the mission done just that much faster. Very effective for that, especially this vehicle because it's fast. One of the faster trucks still in the game, even though it's been out for like 5 years now at this point. Love this truck. This was a Doomsday Heist vehicle. I got a discount for doing the Doomsday Heist, and then I bought it. It was cool for its time, but it is very much outdated at this point. It provides very little cover. This stuff doesn't really provide anything armor-wise. You get shot up a lot in this thing, basically, and that's why we don't use it too often. But it was, at its time, it was one of those rare vehicles that would have multiple guns, so that you can have a driver, a guy in the front with the turret, and then a guy in the back with the back turret. It was fun. This came out a little bit later than Menacer, and this just took most of what that Barrage was and made it better. Much more armored. It's like a tank. It takes a lot of hits from missiles to knock out as many, if not more, than an Insurgent, which is like 7 if I'm not mistaken. So I think it's like 8 or 9 or something like that. And back in the day, that was significant. You have to remember this came out before the Terabyte, which can take like 19 hits, or the new Barrage, the Acid Lab, which could take like I think 47 hits. So this thing was a tank on 4 wheels, and the turret on top is a much more effective version than either of these guns. These guns are just guns. That is a minigun that you just wreck people with it fairly easily, and you get in the thing, and it has back support because the latch opens up from the back, so it protects the gunner a little bit more, kind of like an Insurgent does. Whereas the Barrage does not protect the gunner at all. There's no support there. There's nothing. And then we got the good old-fashioned Night Shark. I had never bought a Night Shark. I got this for free one Christmas, and then I just didn't drive it for like 2 years because I didn't get it. It was, but at the point that I got the Night Shark, it was a little bit outdated, if only for the fact that there were vehicles out there. Like I had a Deluxo before I had this, so I'm like, the Deluxo flies. This doesn't. The Deluxo has missiles. This has front-loaded machine guns, and machine guns in the front that can only be aimed by how you aim the car. Like you have to aim the hood into your target, and it's very limited in that sense. I don't know. I never, by the time I started really understanding how good this car was, I think I had the Menacer by then, so it was kind of like a moot point. But yeah, this is a car that, before, some of the other vehicles that are heavily armored came out, or the Amani tech with the anti-missile lock-ons. This was like one of the few cars that you could drive around in public lobbies. And you have to remember, again, up until last year, everybody had to be in a public lobby, whether you liked it or not. You can be in a private session, but you can't make money in a private session until last year. So you were constantly having to deal with griefers, trolls, just people that just want to make your life miserable. They don't come in the game. Their version of enjoying the game is making other people's lives miserable, and this was One of the great countermeasures to it, you could take this thing and drive from one, place to the other. Be fairly confident that you're not going to get taken out by an oppressor with just, again, up until last year, the oppressor had deadly missiles in terms of accuracy. They were as accurate, if not more so. Um, yeah, I have my headset keeps turning off after 10 minutes because I was a sleeper, in case anyone doesn't know. But damn, I lost my train of thought. Night Shark. Night Shark's good. Let's just put it. Oh yeah, the missiles were deadly accurate, probably more so than the best missiles in the game. Supposedly were what were called Ruiner missiles. They came on the Ruiner 2000. It was a $6 million car made to look like the Knight Rider car kit. They eventually brought the price down to like 4.7 million. It was still too expensive and very outdated because all you could do in the car is jump and parachute down. Since then there's so many flying cars and stuff, it's kind of useless, redundant. It's been made a relic in the past, but still a very expensive car. And it had, up until that point, the best missiles in the game. I don't think the Oppressor Mark II was meant to have missiles as good, if not more deadly and accurate than the Ruiner. I think it was an accident. I think they made them too reliable, too accurate. I mean, I've seen, horror stories of people getting wrecked by oppressors where the missile will go, you'll fly past an oppressor, the missile will curve 180 degrees and follow you relentlessly until it destroys you. And when Oppressor Mark IIs first came out, they had unlimited missiles. Oh my god, it was just troll heaven. You couldn't escape it because you had to be in a public lobby, and oppressors were just too OP. Eventually they lowered the missile count to 30, and then I think 20, or maybe they just went straight to 20. I can't remember. And then they would also make it so that after that, people would just land, despawn, and then respawn their oppressors, and just have a fresh, battery of missiles to throw at people. So eventually they had to do like a 5-minute cooldown if you got off your oppressor. And unfortunately, that just, punished the innocent people in this game. You know how many times I've been on a mission, needed to call in my oppressor, and it's unavailable because I have to wait like 1 minute and 39 seconds for the cooldown to end? It's annoying. I found workarounds, and there are, fairly easy workarounds, especially if you own other vehicles. If you own a Kasatka and a Sparrow, you could just call that in. You just have to remember to return it, because it won't return on its own. You have to return it after you're done with it to return when based a vehicle, it says. Otherwise, you won't be able to call it in again. It'll be a one-time thing. It'll just stay on the map forever until you close out. Anyway, I'm getting way off track. So this is another one of those, like the half track. This was one of those CEO vehicles, fully upgraded. It's got mines, but it's also got this gun for the passenger seat. It's fairly limited in its range, though. You can only go, I think, like 35 degrees each way. So this is one of those limited time vehicles that just came out a couple of weeks ago. What was it called? The Eudora. Drives terrible. Looks awesome. You could also put a taxi livery on this, but you have to do 10 stunt jumps. And you can't use it as a taxi, so why bother? You have to do 10 stunt jumps in a taxi. And this is the new car that just came out. Oh wait, I'm sorry, nope. This is an old car, a very old car. I just bought it this week because it was on sale. I always meant to get back to buying this car. I think this came out with stunning or Cunning Stunt Jumps, which is a very old DLC. This is an old car, but I've always liked the look of it. Again, I am a sucker for weird headlights, like just the front presentation of a car can really just drive me wild. And I love the way these look like blinking eyes. It looks like a lady with thick eyelashes, you know, so it's kind of what I was going for in the colors. I wanted to separate the light covers to make them look like sultry eyes, you know. I don't know. I get bored making some of these cars sometimes, so I went for the lift on the. There's a couple of cars in this game. I just can't remember which ones. That the spoiler like actively moves up and down based on your speed and stuff like that. It's sort of like like how a jet adjusts its flaps. The spoiler will adjust electronically based on wind resistance and things like that. I just don't remember what cars they are. I would buy them in a heartbeat if I could remember. I should look that up one of these days and just buy them. So I've always wanted one of those in this game. I don't feel like I don't think I have any with all these hundreds of cars I own. Panthera, yet another very new car, 2-3 weeks old. Here's a classic, the Tyrant. I am a sucker for those spoilers that go into the roof, huh? I have 3 of those. The Autark. Again, another funky headlight configuration with the little lights around it. I like that. Ardent, classic car. I won this one off the wheel. And again, anytime I win a car off the wheel, I tend to keep its paint job, since it's a unique paint job usually that they put on the wheel. I won this car off the wheel too. Although it would seem that I changed. Yeah, I don't know if I won this car off the wheel. I was going with something different in this car. I remember this. This is a more recent buy, actually. I don't think I won this off. Well, maybe I did win it off the wheel. It was a new car at the time. Either way, when I bought it, it was just a month or 2 ago, maybe 2 months ago. But yeah, you could tell that I was definitely going for something very different here. I don't normally do that kind of stuff with my cars, like take off bumpers and stuff. Rapid GT Classic. I think I bought this car at the end of last year. It's fairly new. Of a 10F wide body. This is a Benny's vehicle. I think it's the only Benny's vehicle that I actually brought over. Unless this was Benny's vehicle too, I don't remember. I'm not a huge fan of the way the Benny's vehicles wind up looking. They're way too weird. This is one of the better ones. It's interesting, but I mean, I don't know. It's not fast. It's not a great car to drive. So in case you couldn't tell either, I did the first and the 5th floor, I did the dark colors. The 2nd and 4th floor, I did this, like, I don't know, this concrete look, and then the 3rd floor is the standard, you know, looking like a 10-car garage, and your your apartment. One more level. It seems like I've done a pretty good job with these first four floors in terms of putting everything where I want it. I don't see any place that I would change. This is, I think, where it gets a little funky because I just kind of threw stuff in here at the last minute and I haven't really worked on it in terms of looks. I can definitely tell you in terms of what I was going for here, I was going for, this floor was going to be all Monitech vehicles. But, like, this is a house vehicle. I had to move this up here because I didn't like the look of it on the first floor. This is what I was talking about. The Sentinel is a $60,000 car in the game. It's like one of the cheapest cars in the game. It is the cheapest house car by far. You could steal this off the street and just put a tracker on it for $2,000. You know, save yourself the $58,000 and turn it into a house vehicle. So I didn't do that. I was thinking about doing it, and I was like lazy. I was like, yeah, it's $60,000. What am I saving $60,000 for? You know. We'll take a look now. I think that's good. All right, so starting with the Virtue, the Freelander car. Obviously, you have to keep the livery because I don't know. That's what you do when you earn these cars. It's a funky, unique livery. Electric vehicle. It's also an Monitech vehicle. It has all the upgrades, missile lock-on jammer, so on and so forth. It's fast, very fast. Weaponized Ignis. This came out the same week as the opening week of Expanded Enhanced. This was S95 was given to us for free. This was the pay car that came out that week. And it is an Ignis with a gun on top. That's really all it is. I don't think I own an Ignis. I think I only own the weaponized Ignis. I got the color, the green that it came with, and I just put the yellow livery on it. It's fast. It's an Monitech vehicle. I think this is like an Monitech and a house vehicle or something like that. It's like super fast, and I don't remember. There's something unique about this car, but it goes really fast, and the lock-on is, you know, non-existent. I love the look of this car. And it's 300R. It's very clean. I like it. Got the classic mirrors. It's a good Monitech vehicle. Here it is, that $60,000 car I was talking about, the Sentinel. I mean, it's not a bad car. It's just not really a showcase vehicle. Bravado Buffalo. No, there's so much cheap cars. There's only like 250,000 or 300,000 or something like that, but it's a mining tech vehicle now, so it's much more expensive. They started coming out with these weird liveries, these half and half liveries at the time of this, so I had to put one on one of my cars. And that was going for a weird color that I've never used before, so that's why it's kind of this off pink color. Salmon, something like that. I don't know. It looks horrible. I don't really like it. Again, I just had to have a car with the weird liveries when it came out, you know, so I could show it off. I don't know. The Deity. Here we are again. Not my cup of tea usually. Liveries that I put on my car, but I don't know. It was a brand new livery. It just came out at the same time as this half and half over here, and I had to put it on. I was also really into the chameleon colors, in case you couldn't tell. The blue pearl chameleon. Yeah, this was one of the earlier cars that came out after Expanded and Enhanced, you know. And I had to have the new livery and the new paint job on it just so I could have one that had it. I like the way the lights look. I don't like the color. I don't like the livery. I would change it around nowadays. It is, I don't know. The only reason I'm keeping it is because it's kind of like frozen in time. It reminds me of a time when this game first came out on PS5. So, yeah. This is the loudest car of them all, isn't it? The worst part about it is this is a great car, and I made it look ugly. I'm not a big fan of the really high spoilers, so I don't know why I put it on there. And as for the livery, well, I think I've explained myself for the other two cars. Had to have the new livery on a car. This livery is unique to only this car. This car was a gift to us for completing the OLP missions, the OLP. Become part of the, what is it, the IA or whatever. And this is the Greenwood that you would have to drive in. Well, you didn't have to drive it in the missions, but they would give it to you to drive, you know. Obviously a much more souped up Amani tech version of said Greenwood, which is why it's got all these weird bullet hole armor thing plates over here. I've got the protection in the back. And I do like the livery on this one. This car, I mean, I don't drive this car around, but yeah, I do like the livery. Finally, right? We need to see Rally. This is either Benny's vehicle or an Amani Tech vehicle. I can't remember. It must be an Amani Tech vehicle. It was parked in the Amani Tech garage. But that doesn't mean anything, because I was storing a couple of vehicles that weren't Amani Tech there. Still a couple of vehicles left over there. Some Benny's vehicles that are over there. I put all the Benny's vehicles on the bottom floor, because I didn't know where else to put them at the time. So, it could be either. I'm going to guess. I don't think it's a Benny's vehicle. I really don't. I don't know. And again, you know, at first I was trying to make it look like a Jurassic Park car, as you could tell, with the livery and the orange and green. I was going for Jurassic Park, and then eventually I just kind of made it like a rally car with Jurassic Park theming, I guess. In case you couldn't tell, I was going for Bumblebee here. The champion. I gotta go with the champion. It should not be all the way back here. This is the finish line, guys. Now I gotta do a reassessment of all my other garages since I plucked in some ways, I wouldn't say in all ways, but in some ways I plucked the top 50 vehicles. I would I consider that my top 50 vehicles? No. Like, for instance, I like that truck more than about like 5 of the 10 trucks on you know, level 3 there. Jolly Tank, obviously. Like Jolly Tank can't fit that into. Can't fit that into the garage either. So. Nailed it. I just wanted to keep. I like to keep the oppressor. Or any vehicle I'm driving out of the way, so that I don't get limited in what spawns I would get in terms of vehicles to drive for the cell missions. Maybe there's a couple of other cars that aren't as aesthetically pleasing. I think that's the top 50 best looking vehicles I have. Although there's easily 1 or 2 that can get taken off fairly easily once I you know, get some newer cars. That's gonna be my showcase garage. I'd much rather keep my executive garage as my showcase garage. I liked my setup, but you know, I spent millions on that garage. Like 2.7 million to buy the garage, and another like 3 million to upgrade it with all the colors and the changing of the inside. Altogether, I spent like 5 mil. Maybe like 5.1 mil or something like that on the garage. So you better believe I want to put my top 50 in there. I don't know. I'll have to go back around one more time and look. I don't feel like... I feel like I got what I wanted in there. You know? I don't feel like... I didn't feel like there was like... It was like deciding between, you know, children. You know?
We on? Okay. It's a boat drop. Products loaded and waiting. They'll pay more for it if you get it to them quick, so get on over to the dock.
I like boat drops. Easy. Yeah, it wasn't like, oh no, do I take this car, do I take this car? I mean, to be honest with you, I was struggling around 40 or so cars, like trying to decide the last 10 that need to go in. If only for the fact that I didn't feel like there was 10 good enough to showcase. I mean, I told you about that Sentinel. Yeah, it's an Amani, or I'm sorry, a house vehicle. So in just that alone, it should be considered a top-line vehicle. Because like to upgrade from a regular car to a house car, just alone costs like, and on that car, I remember it was like 1.1 million. But then you also have to buy the top speed. You have to buy the top transmission, the top brakes, all the house versions of that stuff. So the 1.1 million suddenly turns into over 2 million. So you just turn a $60,000 car into an over $2 million car, and it therefore becomes one of your best vehicles by default, just by the amount of money you put into it. I mean, there are certain cars in that garage that I spent hundreds of thousands on, not millions on, and I love them, you know, more than, you know, some of those multi-million dollar cars, that's for sure. Like that Camacho, that 4x4, I don't think I've ever done a lake cell. I've done this hundreds of times and I've never been routed to the lake. I don't know what to make of this. So yeah, I'm pretty sure I got the 50 that I wanted in there. I'm pretty sure I had to buy a couple more cards and offset some of the. I don't know. Like I said, at one point I was waiting for like a whole floor of houses, a whole floor of money, like a whole floor of trucks, whole floor of like older supercars, and then like a whole floor of just like rotating cars and all that. But it's become clear to me that it's much more likely that besides like the truck level, that I'm not going to have any specific like rhyme or reason. I get it. This is interesting. No. Pick it up. Whoa, mama. Come on. I'm wasting this guy. A fairly long distance. Damn you. Well, this sucked. Oh, okay, pretty quiet. Yeah, I'm not doing this. Oh no. Jump. Jump. Oh, so close. changing levels again. Don't get tired, to be honest with you. I'll probably just get one tomorrow and sell it. And by then, I'm sure we have a bunch of other stuff to sell too. You can definitely see where like they got their like inspiration for Red Dead Redemption 2 off of this. This looks like the blueprint for what they're gonna do in Red Dead. I got this from Red Dead 1, and then they made it better, and then they took this and made it better in Red Dead 2, I'm sure. Vice City will have some mountains or something, because you know, Miami and the mountains. I'd rather just leave random cars laying around for that. How many times I've died just going straight off this thing? Not in many years, but way back in the day when I first started playing this game, I always fell for that. That was like the ultimate open jump by Rockstar. Not even putting like something to block it from going into the water. Look at you. How solid is it? You could get far enough ahead from somebody in like a race or something like that, and then just put the boulder out in the middle of the road here. Really fuck them up too, because they would come up here. That'd be really awesome. I think you'd have to stay here though, so that would be small enough to get your car to work. Oh, 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 oh! Well, I don't know about that rock now. Getting back up there on this thing. Look at that. No way. All this to see if the rock was too small or not. At this point. I don't know what I can do with this thing. I don't know. Path is kind of difficult. It does not want to stay like our path. It wants to roll off, I feel like. Nothing protecting me on that left side now. Oh. No, no, no! I just want to get over the bridge. Oh, I can't shoot from here. I can't shoot from here. Stop running, you fool. There we go. Alright, that's where I get off. There you guys.